What you're watching right now is not a rogue cop in some back alley. It's not a foreign dictatorship, and it's not a war zone. Like Childish Gambino famously said, this is America. And those aren't criminals. They're American citizens being restrained, choked, and suffocated by Trump's federal immigration agents. Now, before you click away thinking this is just another outrage clip, stay with me, because what matters here isn't just what these agents are doing, it's why they keep getting away with it and why it keeps happening over and over again. By the end of this video, one question is going to be unavoidable. If this can happen to U.S. citizens, who exactly is safe? So ProPublica just dropped a bombshell report documenting over 40 separate incidents where ICE and DHS agents used banned chokeholds, neck restraints, and suffocation tactics. Many of them caught on camera. These weren't suspects armed with weapons, and they weren't violent criminals attacking the agents. They are teenagers, unsuspecting adults, and people already pinned to the ground. And in multiple cases, these were American citizens. That's not speculation, it's documented video evidence. But here's where things get disturbing. And this is the part they really don't want you focusing on. These tactics are banned. They were explicitly restricted after George Floyd's murder. So the obvious question becomes, if these restraints are banned, why are federal agents still using them? Hold on to that, and we'll come back to it in a bit. But before we move on, welcome back to Pragmotiv News. I'm Trey, and if you're new here, this channel exists for one reason: to document the things powerful institutions hope you'll forget, and to connect the dots they'd rather you keep separate. And make no mistake, today's story isn't isolated. It's part of a pattern. So jumping back in, let's talk about policy for a second, because this matters. After 2020, federal agents, including DHS, publicly restricted chokeholds and neck restraints except in situations where deadly force is justified. That's the standard for federal agencies now. But what ProPublica uncovered is that agents are repeatedly using these techniques when there is no deadly threat at all. Police trainers, civil rights lawyers, and even former federal law enforcement officials themselves reviewed the footage, and their reactions were blunt. One former commissioner said if these were his officers, discipline would be unavoidable. Yet here, we have no names, no faces in most cases, because now all of a sudden, MAGA believes it's okay to wear masks. Who would have thought? There is no accountability. There are no fucking consequences. Which brings us back to the question we asked earlier. If these tactics are banned and the videos clearly show no deadly threat, then who decides when the rules apply? Because right now, it looks like the answer is only the agents themselves. Now, here's where the story stops being about immigration enforcement and starts being about everyone watching this video right now. ProPublica found that U.S. citizens have repeatedly been detained, restrained, and injured during ICE operations. Not at the border, not after a conviction, but in everyday environments, neighborhoods, workplaces, sidewalks. I mean, earlier this week, we covered them breaking into someone's home without a judge-signed warrant. And now take a look at them pulling a disabled woman out of her car, damaging her property, and arresting her just for trying to get to her doctor's appointment. Take a look.
Get back! Go that way! Hey, back the fuck up! Sidewalk, 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 sidewalk. You can fill up on the sidewalk. Force is not law! Force is not law! not following the law.
I've been beat up by police before. I'm disabled, so I can go to the doctor up there. That's why I didn't move.
Does this make you feel strong? Yeah, man! This is your duty! Why don't you help that woman? Help that woman! Why don't you help someone? All you do is hurt! All you do is hurt! She's trying to drive down the fucking... Where is the law? Move out the way! Let her go!
I mean, they damaged her property, cut her seatbelt, then proceeded to get into her vehicle and drive away. Lord knows where they went. This shit is so maddening. They have no empathy whatsoever. So in addition to these two cases, in another case, a 16-year-old American teenager said he thought he was going to die as an agent wrapped an arm around his neck. In another, a handcuffed woman lost consciousness while an agent pressed a knee into her neck. And here's the part that should make you uncomfortable. None of this was hidden. It was documented in plain sight. They were recorded by bystanders, which means two things. One, these agents aren't ashamed enough to hide their actions. And two, they don't fear any disciplinary action. And three, this means this isn't rare. It happens often. And this raises another sobering question that we're going to have to keep coming back to on this show. If this is what happens when people are watching, what happens when they're not watching? Now, of course, the official line from DHS and Trump and his people is very predictable. They say these operations protect public safety, target dangerous individuals, follow federal guidelines. But what we're seeing on the ground tells a completely different story. Because alongside these chokehold videos, we're also seeing Americans detained without clear cause, agents refusing to identify themselves, and masked federal officers operating with near total discretion. And this is happening during a massive expansion of immigration enforcement across this country. We're talking about more agents, more masks, more raids, and less oversight. If this feels familiar, it should. We've seen this before. Expanded authority, reduced transparency, trust us explanations after the fact. It's the same playbook, just a different agency. And historically, when force becomes routine and accountability disappears, it never stays limited to the original target. Communities aren't imagining this. Cities, civil rights groups, and legal advocates are pushing back, arguing that what's happening now violates constitutional protections, not just internal police policy. Because when federal agents can detain citizens, restrict their breathing, and walk away without having to give an explanation for being held accountable, that's not enforcement. That's a dictatorship. And it damn sure ain't American. So here's the question I want you to sit with, not just today, but going forward. When does enforcing the law cross into something far more dangerous and sinister? And more importantly, who decides where that line is? And why do they keep crossing it? Because this story isn't over. And based on what ProPublica uncovered, it's most likely just the beginning. This isn't a glitch in the system, y'all. This is the system that Donald Trump and Stephen Miller ushered in. And it's working exactly as they designed it. And now that you've seen it, you can't unsee it. We'll keep watching. Catch y'all next time. Peace.